you struggle with everyday small things, like how to hang toilet paper this or next Thursday, the proper use of y'all? Then join Gary and JR as they consider these and other trivial matters. The Small Things Considered podcast from Ranch Hand Records, appearing every other Tuesday, alternating with Three Things of JR.
Hello and welcome to Three Things with JR, episode number 125, New York, New York. Yes, I went to New York recently and I will be talking about that in a few minutes. I've got a bunch of stuff. I've got a long list, way more than three things, but we're going to lump them all into three categories of things. And within those things, there will be sub-things. There will be small things, not to be confused with Small Things Considered, the other podcast I do. You heard the ad at the top of the show. So don't forget to listen to that show every other week, and this show every other week. So there we go. Three Things with JR. We're back, and I've got stuff, and I'm going to start with the most recent thing. Thing number one. ToBe Fare, my band, is back with gigs. We are booking shows and playing shows. In fact, last night was our first gig at a club in a couple of years, to say the least. And I can't tell you how excited we were to do that. The venue was Holly's Diner. It's on the corner of Meade and Market Street, I do believe. It's catty-cornered from Firefly, for those of you in Charlottesville. And from what I was told, we would be able to play as loud as we want there. They don't tell you to turn down, is a thing I heard about playing at Holly's. So that's our language. That's what we needed. That's all we needed to hear, really. And so we took them at their word. We showed up. We set up. The nice thing about Holly's is they have their own PA, so we didn't have to bring all of that stuff. Just had to show up with instruments, microphones, and mic stands and mic cords. That's it. So setup was easy. Got that done, and it's time for sound check. We play our full song for sound check because it's basically like 10 minutes before the beginning of the gig anyway. So we just sound check was the first song. And the Morgan, the woman who did sound check, I think she might even own the joint. She loved the sound of my drums, my Stubblefield drums, and told me it might be good if I wasn't playing them full force. And I agreed to not play them full force. It's not a large venue. It's not a huge club. And the band sort of sits on the left wall facing the right wall on a longer, narrower venue. So that sound of the drums bounces off that other wall, and it's a loud room. There's not a lot of soft materials around to soak up the sound. So I get it. It would be good to not be quite so thunderous, which is basically a good way to describe my drumming style. So I tried really hard to not play full force, and found it very difficult. It did a weird thing to my brain. It made me slow down sometimes, which is not a bad thing, according to the other guys in the band. They kind of liked it when I wasn't speeding up and going really fast, and which, I have a tendency to do. And as the night progressed, I definitely got louder. It wasn't a well-attended gig, let me say that. For the first set, which was about 12 or 13 songs, there was about 12 or 13 people in there, and they all were having a good time. They were videoing us and clapping and thundering applause after each song. It was a good crowd, those that were there. And then we took a break, came back about 15 minutes later for set number 2, and the place had all but emptied out with only a handful of people left. So we didn't let that stop us. We went ahead and started playing, and I figured if there's nobody in there to be annoyed by how loud it is, who cares how loud it is? So I did not really hold back during that second set. And somewhere around halfway through the second set, people started to come in. Like, it was getting pretty late at night. This is around midnight at this point. And the place started, getting some business, some people showing up, not necessarily for us, but they seemed to be glad we were there. Some of them sat inside, some of them sat right out front so they could talk, but still hear the music. They told us the music was still quite loud outside the front door. Man, it was actually a pretty fun night. Most of the time when we rehearse, I'm playing a set of drums that, it's my secondary set of drums. They are in disrepair in several ways, but they get the job done for rehearsal just fine. So I only play the Stubblefields on gigs. I don't have a place where I can set them up and play them on a regular basis for like practice. So they sit in storage until it's time to rock. And, oh man, I got to tell you, to bang on those drums, it is a different experience than playing my regular rehearsal drums. Significantly more fun to hit those drums. The sticks just bounce off them great. They boom, they pound, they rock. It's pretty awesome. Towards the end of the night, this guy comes in, and he is a quintessential sort of, concert goer. Like, that's his main thing in life is to go to live music. You all know somebody like that. You might be one of those people. I mean, I like going to concerts, and I know lots of people that like to go to concerts and to see live music. But this guy told us that he moved into a house in downtown Charlottesville specifically so that he could walk to the downtown mall and the pavilion and places like Holly's Diner, where he could see live music any night of the week. Anytime it was happening, he was within walking distance. He told us that. He also told us that he was going to have a yard sale the very next morning because he was going to have to sell his house. There was a lot more to that story. It was hard to keep up. In fact, this guy got his 2 beers from the bar and then walked over to us in front of the stage and stood as close to the stage as you can get without getting on it. A few times he actually got on it, but he stood right there, and he seemed to really be enjoying the music we were playing. He told us we were the 3rd or 4th band he'd seen that day, and he was in love with it. We were playing mostly covers at this point, and they seemed to be all songs that he knew all the words to. So he was almost, I think he was louder than we were singing, and we had the benefit of microphones and speakers, and he did not. And between every song, like literally the very second a song would end, he would resume his story, and he was making a point of telling us basically his life story and everything that was on his mind at full volume between songs, and to the point where we weren't sure what to do. Like, should we start the next song? Should we cut him off? Should we ask the bartender to shut him up? We want to play the rest of these songs, but we don't want to be rude and interrupt your story, but your story doesn't seem to be ending. So we just did it. We just jumped into songs. And Gary and I were sort of on the same wavelength with, I would say something to the guy like, boy, that sounds like she doesn't really have her mojo working, does it? And then Gary would just start in with the first words of mojo. And boom, we come in at 100% right at the beginning of that song, and he immediately stops talking, gets his phone out, and starts recording us and jamming with us and dancing. And he's got his recordings. He was asking us the name of the band. We all 3 had to tell him the name of the band very loud and multiple times so that he could understand it, because he wanted a recording of it so he could look us up the next day. Which, hey, that's awesome. Love that. But then he would keep the phone up and he would get it right into Gary's hands on the guitar, and he'd sort of would get on the stage so he can get up in my face on the drums, go over to Brian on the bass. I mean, he was into it, and it was hard to be mad at the guy, even despite the fact that he added 3 to 5 minutes between every song for the last half of our second set. It was still hard to be mad at the guy because he was so into it. He was our biggest fan, and we had zero interest in any of the stuff he had to tell us. But that did not stop him one bit from telling us everything. I did get some video of him, and I'm quite proud of this. I recorded 2 videos of this guy while he was recording videos of us. The first video I recorded it's not while he's talking. It's actually during one of our songs. And what I'm proud of most in this video is the fact that this is the beginning of a song. Gary was over there noodling some blues riffs while this guy was just yammering on and on and on. And then he got his phone out and he's starting to record. And finally, Gary just was able to go into the song, and I guess we got to just start because this guy's not going to be quiet. So this video that I'm going to play is there's not a ton to see. It's just a video of the guy in front of the band. But what I'm doing is I'm videoing this while playing the song on the drums. So, this video, by the way, I am going to upload it to the ToBe Fare Facebook group, and I will attach it to this episode. When I post about this episode, this video and several other photos and videos will be part of the post. So, there's some visuals to go along with this week's episode of 3 Things with JR, and this video is one of them. I did take a video between songs. And this is where you get an idea of, this guy's just won't stop talking.
You know what my friend said, and I was thinking the same thing. Get back in there and work. Yeah, they made me use my fucking vacation for this. Now, I want to go see my dad this December. He ain't going to be around us. You know what my friend said? She said, can you hold up? I don't need to get flood insurance for a moment. She said, can you hold this one between us? Said you need to get to that 12 months, and then you need a relay.
So you think you can tell heaven from hell, blue skies from pain.
Hey,
Can you tell the green field?
That second voice you hear is this guy. You can hear him just as loud as you can hear Gary singing into the mic. So he was telling us the story, and as soon as he saw me recording, he was like, hey, don't film this. It's something about insurance fraud or something. So when I put this video out online, I will blur his face or something. We don't know his name. We don't need to know. We don't care. I am concerned about how good his yard sale is going to be, though, because he told us repeatedly he was going to be having a yard sale the very next morning at 7 a.m., just a few blocks away. And he gave his address several times to the entire establishment of Holly's Diner, making sure everybody knew he had a yard sale going on. So that was that. Now, there's more. There's a bunch of folks showed up towards the the middle of the second half, the middle of the second act at Holly. The second act. I'm a theater nerd now. The second set at Holly's, and after the show, while we're cleaning up, we got to unload load out all of our stuff out the front door. We had to go around this crowd of people, squeezing through them to get out to the sidewalk, to get to the my drums to the truck, things like that. And one of these dudes stops me and says, "Man, I really enjoyed y'all tonight. That was great." And he was one of the ones that was sitting inside, actually hanging out, listening to us play. But he came up and said, "Hey man, I would be interested in maybe jamming with you guys. I'm a rapper. I got out of prison not too long ago, and I've been looking for a live band, to back me when I'm doing stuff. And you guys might be perfect. It might be kind of cool if we got together and played some music. And are you interested?" And I told him, "Hell yeah, we're interested." I told Gary, he's like, "Hell yeah, we're interested." And so, I mean, how cool is that? He asked for our info. I gave him our Facebook so he could find us on our website. But a big shout out to this guy. He calls himself DMVHEF, as in Department of Motor Vehicles, HEF as in Hefner. And that's him. He's actually got some stuff on YouTube already. I will play you a little bit of some music that he's already got out here just to give you an idea of the type of people that are interested in ToBe Fare.
Turn this bitch up. Yeah, ball down ass, 2 cups and I'm leaning. I've been down bad, I mean fucked up. I turned Brody up, now he demon. All these bad bitches love.
There you go. That's DMVHEF. And will we be his backing band? Who knows? Is he actually going to call us or reach out and want to jam? Who knows? But wouldn't that be cool? I think we would be honored for that. The fact that he saw 3 older, bald white guys and thought, that's who I want as my backing band. Or at least I want to jam with those guys. At the bare minimum, he did tell us that. So I'm really hoping to see a message or something from this guy, maybe set up something and get together and jam. How cool would that be? I love it. So, ToBe Fare, we have 1 gig a month for June, July, and August. That's what we've got on the books right now. This was June's gig. And it was one for the books, man. It was great. Had a fun time. We even got paid for it. We got free beer. I mean, what more can you ask for? Getting paid to play our songs and a bunch of other songs and have a great time doing it. Next up, if you are interested in seeing ToBe Fare at our next gig, that does not require you to stay up until 1 a.m. to see the whole set, and does not require you to be in a seedy bar in downtown Charlottesville, that's okay. You can come to Main Street in Waynesboro, right in front of the Wayne Theater, at Wayne on Main. It will be Wednesday night, July 26th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's kind of like a street performance right there for the Wayne. And we'll be all set up. We'll play for a couple of hours. I think we're going to do a number with the folks from the Wayne Theater that are working on the current show, The Little Mermaid. I don't know if we're playing with them or if we're just going to give them the stage for a little while or what. But either way, we are honored that we have been asked to play that gig, and we will come prepared to rock Waynesboro with our special blend of covers, originals, and lots of love.
Thing number 2.
Okay, New York City. Thing number 2. It's all about New York City because I spent 3 days there this week, and every single time I've gone to New York City, I come back inspired, invigorated, exhausted, and I love it. I want to be there, and I don't know if I'm gonna ever live there. That would be cool, but I do know that I do love visiting there. So Kiki and I went. She was actually up there for several days with one of her other friends, and then I drove up on Monday and met her, and we stayed in a hotel literally right there in Times Square. That was convenient because it's right near all the Broadway theaters we were going to go to. And we spent a lot of time during the day basically walking around Midtown. We went to Bryant Park. We made sure to show up at Bryant Park at noon because that's when the jugglers are there. In Bryant Park, there's a whole corner of the park where these people show up, they unlock their cabinet and bring out all of their juggling supplies, and they will happily teach anybody that wants to learn how to juggle and how to juggle pins and balls and various things. And we know this, so we make sure to show up there at noon, and we juggle with the people, and we get them to show us some tricks and stuff, which always reminds me of within the first year that I knew Kiki. One night, out of the blue, she said, "Hey, do you know how to juggle?" And I just thought this was the randomest question, and it made me so happy because back in high school, in drama class, I think it was maybe even during rehearsals for the one play that I did in high school, someone, I think it was Mrs. Thurber, or maybe her husband, Mr. Cronin, I don't know, I think it was those two. Anyway, someone taught us to juggle. And I learned just enough I can juggle 2 balls in one hand, or I can juggle 3 balls in 2 hands. That's the limit. That's how good I am. And I can't do it for very long. Usually I fumble pretty quickly, but I can do it. Especially once I get into a rhythm, I can get it going. And so I told Kiki when she said, "Hey, can you juggle?" This is like, almost going to bedtime, and we're just hanging out. And she just throws the question out, "Can you juggle?" And I was like, yes, I can. She's like, "Really? Cool." So she goes and gets some juggling balls, which was the first sign that something was up. Because who has 3 juggling balls just ready to go? But she did. So she said, "All right, cool, show me." So I did. I juggled 2 in one hand, and then I added the third, and I did that, and I dropped them several times. I couldn't go for very long. The whole time I'm thinking, this is weird. I don't think she was simply interested in whether or not I can juggle. I think there's more to this. And sure enough, she proceeds to show me how good she can juggle. And she can juggle multiple balls. She can juggle various things, various items. She can do tricks and cool stuff. And she actually really went through a full-on juggling class, like a circus level juggling class back in high school. Her and her dad, they even did some sort of act where they juggled back and forth with each other and stuff. So she set me up. She totally set me up for that. And I totally bought it, hook, line, and sinker. But that's okay. Juggling is something we both enjoy. We're not constantly sitting around the house juggling or anything, but when we go to Bryant Park in New York City, we definitely go to juggle. Another thing we did while there was going to the Museum of Broadway, which is pretty cool. It's like 3 different floors of a whole bunch of exhibits, all about some of the most iconic shows on Broadway. They got props, they got exhibits. It was just really fun learning about the history of Broadway. And there's even one section where you could look at all of Al Hirschfeld's drawings, caricatures of famous Broadway people, music people, movie people, politicians. This guy is a well-known artist for many, many years, and you can use their little iPad there to have a Hirschfeld created for you, which I did. In fact, they even give you a link. You can do it at home. It's just available. It's just a website. You can do it anywhere. So I did a Hirschfeld of me. The weird part was you're supposed to do it's like he was known for drawings that were simple line drawings. He certainly did more complex drawings incorporating color and such. But for a long time, and his most famous stuff are simple line drawing caricatures of famous people. So in this application on this website, you can go through a bunch of selections for different types of hair, different types of eyes, different nose, different lips, different facial hair, right? Just to try to create a Hirschfeld that in some way resembles you. You can Hirschfeld yourself is what it's called. So I did. The only problem with it, the only reason I wasn't able to fully get my own Hirschfeld that looked a lot like a caricature of me was because there was no option for bald. All of the hair options were, hair. So I did I did a Hirschfeld of me, and then I put it in paint on my computer, and I removed most of the hair, and that is the new logo for this show. So in case you were wondering, instead of a picture of me, it is a Hirschfeld-ish caricature of me created by me using an app on a website, and there you go. So that's the new logo for the show. Cool. Anyway, let me tell you, the most excited, the most anticipated thing for me on this trip to New York was the new musical New York, New York. I saw an advertisement for it a couple months ago. Very excited about it because it is a new musical. Takes place in 1946 in New York City, obviously. The music is by Kander and Ebb, who until I heard about this show, I hadn't ever heard those names before, because I'm still learning quite a bit about theater and Broadway and all the stuff. There's a lot I don't know about this stuff, but Kander and Ebb, they're kind of a big deal. Kander is still alive. He's in his 90s. He wrote the music for the shows, and Frank Ebb wrote the lyrics for shows. And they wrote the music for the movie from the 70s starring Robert De Niro and Liza Minnelli called New York, New York, directed by Martin Scorsese. And then the song, Start Spreading the News, that song, that became a big Frank Sinatra song, but it started as a Liza Minnelli song in the movie. Frank sort of took it and made it his own, and everybody thinks of it as a Frank Sinatra song, but it's not. It is sung by the female lead in that movie. This new musical is based on that movie, loosely, using lots of that music and other music written by Kander and Ebb for this story. And then the whole thing got a little bit of an update with collaboration from Lin-Manuel Miranda. And so now it's a pretty hot new musical that I was very excited to see. I bought Kiki tickets to it for her birthday, but those tickets were absolutely just as much for me as they were for Kiki, because she wasn't the one telling me we need to go see New York, New York. I was the one telling her that, and then I got her tickets for it. So go me. When I get Kiki tickets to a show for her birthday, I don't mess around. We're not going to be sitting over on orchestra left on the far left aisle. We're not going to be sitting up in the balcony. We're not going to be sitting with obstructed view. We're going to have good seats. And these were pretty much the best seats in the house. Now, front row, center. Literally close enough to the conductor down in the orchestra pit to hear him when he would whisper into his mic, 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 and get the music going. That's how close we were to him. I could have reached up and tickled his bald spot if I wanted to. And I didn't. That was good, right? I did not realize when I bought the tickets online that these were legroom limited seats. And I didn't realize that until we were walking to our seats and I saw on my phone limited legroom on these seats. I was like, oh shit, I hope I'm going to be able to sit there for 3 hours. And even though I won't be able to move my legs pretty much at all. And that was the case. Like, they weren't kidding. You are sitting so close. There is no room with my big fat legs and large feet. There was no moving or adjusting my legs at all in these seats. So, gosh, if I had to do it again, I might sit in row B instead of row A, because I think it might even be slightly better. But man, this was good, because here's the deal. The whole show is great. You have a perfect unobstructed view of everything going on the stage the entire time from this place, even though you're sitting so front and center. You don't miss a thing. During the intermission, the orchestra, they go out of the orchestra pit, and then as they're coming back, we're noticing that they have changed clothes. They have gone from wearing whatever they would normally wear, probably all black, most of them. They have changed into period costumes for this show. And they're all dressed up. And we're thinking, we're going to see the band at some point? Are they going to leave the orchestra pit and go up on the stage? No, that's not what they're going to do. I sort of took a peek down into the pit, and I saw that on the front edge of the pit was like a decorative fascia board on the front of the orchestra pit. And that's when I realized what was going to happen. This orchestra pit is going to rise up, and we're going to see the orchestra front and center. And then I was a little worried because we're sitting directly behind the conductor, the director. How are we going to see what's happening? Is this actually a bad seat, front row center, or not? Spoiler alert. You might want to fast forward about 5 minutes so that you don't hear about a key moment in the show. Let me tell you. When the orchestra rises up, the conductor leaves his little podium, leaves the orchestra pit so that the pit can rise up. The pit rises up around his little podium, and then these two flaps go down, so it's now stage right there in the center. And the main principal characters come out front and center. There is a microphone for Anna Uzele so that she can come out and sing Start Spreading the News, New York, New York. Colton Ryan has a piano set up right next to her. I could have reached up and touched their shoes from my seat without getting up. If I had wanted to, I didn't do that. Good job, me. But I mean, basically, you can't get any closer to the action. And one of the cool things about this show, Colton Ryan, the guy that plays the male lead, Jimmy Doyle, he's really playing the piano. He really plays instruments on the stage in this show because his character is a musician and he just didn't want to fake it. And he's enough of a musician that he could pull it off. And he is so much fun to watch because he is so into playing the song. You can tell sure, he's acting, but it's like, I think it really does affect him the way you would want it to. He is so into playing that piano during that finale song. And Anna Uzele's voice is otherworldly. Liza Minnelli was good. Frank Sinatra was great, but this woman belts it out with such power and passion. And it's the ultimate end of this wonderful story that is told because it has been updated from the 70s to today with the help of Lin-Manuel Miranda and others. It is a very very conscientious story that it doesn't just tell the story of two white New Yorkers. There is color, there is gender stuff, there is homosexual stuff. It's got it all. It's accepting of foreigners, and it tells the story of making it in New York. And it is a tribute to New York and the wonderful melting pot that it is. And I mean, golly, it was just amazing. And while they're playing this finale song, I got all verklempt. Tears streaming out of my face. I couldn't talk. I wanted to get up and cheer. I couldn't because of the limited leg room. Even if I wanted to, there was no way to get up at that point. But all I could do was just be in awe of the spectacle of it all. And when the lights go down or go on, the show's over, they've taken their bows. I tried to talk to Kiki about how wonderful that was, and I couldn't even form words. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk. I was so moved by this entire thing in such a happy, joyous way. Wow. So the end of that is you need to go see New York, New York. Afterwards, we hung out by the stage door, got to see two of the supporting actors, got some autographs, got some selfies. I'll put those in the Facebook post when I put this up. So if you want to see that, you can. But the one of the guys, Latin American dude, when I told him how much I love the show, he's like, "Oh my gosh, we saw you in the front row. We could tell you loved it." Like they noticed me. during this show. And it was a special moment, gotta say. God, I could just... No, I think that's it. That's all you need to know. I don't think I've spoiled anything. Maybe I did, though. If you didn't know the band was going to rise up, now you do. And I'm so sorry. I should have given you a spoiler alert. Maybe I'll go back and add in spoiler alert to this so I don't have to re-record the whole thing. So, yeah, maybe I'll do that. So day 3 comes around, and we have decided... Instead of getting the car and driving home in the early afternoon, which was the plan the whole time, there's no matinees on Mondays or Tuesdays on Broadway. Like, those are not days you can go see an early show. And we had planned to go see an early show on Tuesday until we realized that. So Wednesday, though, there's lots of matinees on Wednesdays. So we decided to stay a few extra hours to postpone our drive home, which we knew would mean we don't get home until after midnight. But we wanted to see another show. And the show we decided to see was Parade, mainly because it did just win a Tony for Best Revival of a Musical. It stars the guy from Dear Evan Hansen, Ben Platt, and it seems like a great show. It's been winning awards. It's really good. And it closes August 6th. So it's limited engagement sort of a situation. And if we're ever going to see it, it would have to be on this trip. Because there's no way we're coming back before August 3rd. Oh, we're coming back. Maybe even this year, but not by that soon. So we went and saw the musical Parade. Now, I was not super thrilled about this. I kind of wanted to go home on the high of New York, New York. And from what I knew of Parade, I had seen the performance of one of the songs they did on the Tony Awards, but I mean, Ben Platt's singing style, Dear Evan Hansen stuff, doesn't exactly do it for me. It's not my favorite style of singing, and there's no doubt he's talented. He can sing. He's got a great voice. He's great, undeniably. It's just not exactly what moves me. So there's that. And then there's the fact that this is not a happy show. It's a true story about a guy who was wrongfully accused and convicted and executed for a crime he did not commit. And no spoiler there. This is a true story. It's all in, it's in the bios of the show. You can't miss it. So you know what's going to happen. In fact, there's a big thing up on the background of the stage that you can just read it. It's a historical marker sort of a thing that they've got so you can read it. So you know exactly what's going to happen in the show. And wow, walked out of that one pretty well moved as well for different reasons. The story was incredibly compelling, despite the fact that you know everything that's going to happen. It's told in such a creative way. The staging of it all, the lighting was incredible. Like, I don't notice lighting most of the time, right? But the lighting in this show is used so effectively. And I love the fact that they shine the lights on the audience. They shine the light back on yourself, almost forcing you to think, or to make you think of, what would you do in this situation? Am I to blame? Or yeah. Oh, so good. And they also took the opportunity to tell the story of others, because it takes place in Georgia, and the person who is the lead, who is the main guy wrongfully accused, convicted, and murdered for a crime he didn't commit, is a Jewish guy from New York who moves to South Carolina, or to Georgia. And in the crime he's accused of committing is murdering a young 13-year-old white girl. And so in Georgia, in the 19 teens, so this takes place in 1913, you might be wondering about the black experience during all of this. And this show brings that to light really well. They talk about how, there's a couple of there's a black couple in the governor's mansion talking about the situation, and how, they're just a little bit miffed at how big a deal is being made out of this white girl that gets murdered by a white guy. And if it was a black girl getting murdered by a black guy, it would not have been front page news or such a big deal, that kind of thing. Anyway, they don't ignore the other the peripheral stories that would have been going on around this story at that time. And so Ben Platt was great. The rest of the cast, even better. So many wonderful songs, the dancing, the staging, the choreography, all of it, inventive, unique. The stage doesn't change much, right? Like in most of these big Broadway musicals, there's major set changes. Not in this one. Very minor set changes. And one of the most interesting things they did was Ben Platt is at the end of Act 1, he is done in court and he is now sentenced to jail, awaiting his death sentence. And he changes from his courtroom suit to his jailbird outfit right there on stage, and then goes and sits in the jail cell, which is front and center on the stage. And he sits there the entire intermission. Once again, making the audience think about this, whether they want to or not. And it's almost a little painful watching him sit there for that long. I had to wonder, somebody brought him like a cup of water for him to drink, but it's like a cup that you might see in prison in 1913. But I have to wonder, did they also bring him like something to read? Does he have a phone or an iPad or something up there so he can, because he's not just motionless. He's a guy sitting in a chair at a desk in a prison cell. But maybe they brought him something so he could occupy his mind while during intermission. Anyway, walked out of that one not quite as unable to speak, not quite as verklempt, but equally moved for all the right reasons. So really, really good show. If you have a chance to see Parade in New York before it closes on August 6th, I recommend that one too. And the last thing that we did in New York I want to tell you about is, no, actually there's two more things. But the next one is One Vanderbilt. If you are into going up into skyscrapers in New York City, then this would be one that I recommend. I've been up in a bunch of them. One World Trade Center. The first one I did, of course, was the Empire State Building. And 30 Rock are the three ones I had already done. But there's a new one in town, and it's called One Vanderbilt. And it's a pretty cool summit experience. They call it the Summit. And the whole idea of it is it's mostly enclosed, but it is done in a very artistic sort of way. So the Summit experience are floors 92, 93, like right in there. There's like 3 different floors of like a observation deck, but it's mostly indoors. They have a huge room with mirrors on the ceiling, on the floor, on all 3 walls that are not windows. And so that is a crazy experience because you can look up and see yourself. And then, of course, you're also seeing the reflection of yourself from the ceiling and the floor and the ceiling and the floor. Same thing with the walls. It would not be a place for women to wear loose skirts because it will be hard to not put yourself on display in a room like this. But that's a neat room. And then you go in another room and they've got a ton of like these like inflated beach balls that are like mirror, like shiny chrome metal looking beach balls that are just all throughout the room with fans blowing them up on the ceiling and stuff. That was a lot of fun. You go in the next room, there's some nice art exhibits, and you got, of course, huge panoramic views of the city, beautiful from on the 91st floor. Then you go up and there's some more observation rooms. One of them has like a little section where there's two sections sort of jutting out from the side of the building, and so that you can step out onto them and you are surrounded by nothing but glass. You can look up, left, right, forward, and straight down, and it's just glass. And I thought that was going to be a little unnerving, but it's not. Because you have to stand in line to go through that section, and they've got cameras and they've got staff there. They take pictures of you for the exhibit, and then they're like, all right, you got 30 seconds to do whatever you want. And you can just stand there looking out the window. You can take selfies. You can do whatever. But you got about 30 seconds, then you need to go. And so that wasn't the least bit scary because you're sitting there watching people, groups after groups after groups, stand in this little portico that is just enclosed, glass. So not really scary by the time you get there, but still a pretty cool visual. And we've got some neat pictures of that, and those will be in the Facebook post as well. We actually saw One Vanderbilt last year when my mom and dad and sister and Kiki and I went to New York last year to see the Music Man. We went up on 30 Rock that year, and we were looking out from 30 Rock at this other tall building, and somewhere around about the same height as the top of 30 Rock is this room, this big windowed room with all these like lights going on. Like, is that some sort of ballroom, dance hall, party room or something? And nobody knew what it was. We asked 30 Rock people. We asked others. We were trying to figure it out. We were zooming in on our cameras. We could not figure out what was going on over there. But then when we got up into One Vanderbilt this week and we looked over at 30 Rock, that's when I realized we were standing in the room. Now, we were there during the daytime, but at night, I'm sure these rooms are lit up in all sorts of colors with these, bouncing beach balls and all that stuff. That's what we were seeing from 30 Rock, was the summit of One Vanderbilt. So it was pretty cool. If you're going to do it, let them take every picture they want to take of you, because you get to look at them all at the end. And you get to preview them, and if you want to buy them, you can. And I think you will want to, because they do some really fun stuff with those pictures. They do some nice 360-degree stuff. They do a close-up of your face, and then they give you a picture of your face as if it were in the clouds, which is really fun. That's now my background at work when I do like Zoom meetings at work. You know how you can customize your background? That's my background now, so it's freaking people out at work. That's great. When you're done with the observation areas, you go up to the 3rd floor. So it's like the 93rd floor. And now you're in the refreshments area, right? They have a full bar. They've got a small snack bar-y type restaurant with serving some above average snacks. You can get some juices, sodas, beer, alcohol, whatever you want there. And then go outside on their outside observation deck, kind of like Empire State Building, except way nicer. There's more room to move around. It's you've already seen all of the different stuff you can see out the side of the building, so it's not crowded with people. There are benches to sit on. There is music playing. There is multiple bars. I mean, it's a nice hang on the 93rd floor looking out over Manhattan. And it's just a really nice experience. So there you go. One Vanderbilt, I would say, do it. All right, the last little thing from New York. On Monday night, we went to see Ramin Karimloo live at City Winery. Ramin Karimloo is a major Broadway star. He currently stars in Funny Girl, but Kiki has had a crush on Ramin Karimloo for longer than she's known me. And in fact, the first time we were ever in New York together, we went and saw Ramin Karimloo at B.B. King's in Times Square. And he is an incredible performer. He's incredibly good looking and talented. He's an Iranian-born Canadian who was a hockey player and is a multi-instrumentalist, an incredible singer. He is ripped when he shows up in Funny Girl with no shirt on. I mean, anybody in the room would find that man very attractive. And his voice is absolutely incredible. He's played the Phantom. He's played Jean Valjean in Les Mis. I mean, he's that kind of guy. So any chance Kiki has to go see him, we go see him because he has a band. And when whatever show he's in is off that night, like Monday night this week, him and his band book a show, and they sell tickets, and it sells out because people love it when Ramin Karimloo does Broadway songs in the style of bluegrass. Yes, there's banjos and basses and guitars and stuff like that, and they're singing Old Man River and songs from Phantom and Les Mis and many, many other shows. So it's pretty cool. He's great. The first time Kiki and I saw him like this at BB King's, he was doing 2 nights. We were there on the second night. And in the stairwell going down, they've got posters for all the upcoming shows at BB King's. And when that show was over, I thought to myself, you know what? That poster is no longer necessary. So I went ahead and decided to help the BB King staff clean up. I took the poster off the wall. I rolled it up. I took it home. I gave it to Kiki as a present. She was extremely happy about that. It is now framed and hanging up in this house somewhere, or maybe it's in storage since we moved. I don't know. But either way, it's kind of a big deal. So this time we went at the end of the show. We were walking around City Winery, which is on Pier 57. It's a really cool venue. And they had a huge poster, like a full movie poster size poster with Ramin on it, looking all sexy. And I thought, yeah, it would be pretty easy to remove this poster from this poster frame hanging on this wall. I'm going to need a minute because it was behind, a cover, and there was a frame around it, but the bottom edge of the frame was not there. So it would have been pretty easy to sort of get this poster to slide out the bottom. But Kiki did not want to let me do that. I told her, this is what I did with that other one that you now have framed in your house. And she's like, I know, but you don't do that. It's wrong. And so I've wanted to get her another poster of Ramin. Instead, we just took selfies in front of it. I asked the manager. They said no. So we didn't steal a poster from City Winery. See, I'm getting, maybe Kiki's helping me be more responsible and mature. I don't know. But we do have pictures of us in front of Ramin Karimloo. All right, that's it. That's way too much New York stuff. If you're not a theater person, you have tuned out by now. Unless I'm making you a theater person. Who knows? I don't know. What do I have for thing number 3? I'm not even sure yet. Let's go find out. Thing number 3? All right. I do. I figured it out. I've got a thing number 3. And I don't even know that I want to talk about this, but I'm gonna. I've got a friend on Facebook. He's a high school friend. He was a grade ahead of me. His name is John Pitt Fido. He played football. He was a running back. I played football with him. I was a lineman. He was a total jock, like crazy dude. He was very athletically talented, very into it. When he got pumped up for a football game, he was pumped up. Metallica, metalhead sort of dude. He still wears a mohawk. That is still his haircut of choice. But he's a father now. He, from what it looks like, a highly talented cook, successful dude, and overall good guy. But he posts some stuff on Facebook that I can't get on board with most of the time. Not everything, but sometimes. And the most recent one, I'm gonna call him out for it because it's Pride Month, and it's clear to me that he does not understand the whole Pride movement thing. Several posts he's put up recently implies, and maybe he's very clear about it, he thinks that the Pride movement, the LGBTQ plus movement, is targeting kids and trying to make them transgender, queer, gay, whatever. It's clear that that is what he thinks is happening. That they are like the thing with the stuff being pulled from Target. He thinks that they're going after our children, and he's got a lovely daughter that his motivation for trying to fix this problem that he thinks is a problem, that really isn't a problem, but he thinks it is. His motivation is, of course, his love for and protection of his daughter. I have no doubt about his pure motives. I just think he's wrong. But there's no doubt that he's trying to do the right thing. And this post is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So the post it's one of those Facebook posts where, it's got a colored background and larger font text. And it says this, I'm going to read it verbatim for you. Child's question, quote, "Mommy, what does the L mean?" Daddy, what does the G mean? Parent, it's a sex thing we do. Let me explain. End quote. Those letters represent sex. Hashtag quit selling sex to kids. So I've read this thing a whole bunch of times. And combining this with some of his other Facebook posts, I have to think that he is maybe a little scared of having to have the sex talk with his child, especially if the child has questions that are not, in his mind, normal questions about sex, right? Questions like about homosexuality, lesbians, gays. It's the L and the G here in this post, I'm assuming. And in his mind, the L and the G represents a sex thing. And in this post he puts up, it's the parent says, it's a sex thing we do. Let me explain. And he puts an exclamation point on it, as if the parent in this situation would be excited to explain a sex act when the daughter simply, or the child simply asks, what does the L mean and what does the G mean? And I feel like John might be ill-equipped to explain simply what does an L mean? What does it mean to be a lesbian? What does it mean to be gay? And it doesn't have to have anything to do with sex. It's simply who you're attracted to. And I don't feel like he's able to put that into context and explain it in a way. I think he might also feel like people that are gay or homosexual or transgender, any of the LGBTQ, maybe he thinks that those people are that way simply because they've chosen to be that way. And if you think that is how it happens, then it would be a logical leap for him to think that companies and organizations marketing towards kids are trying to turn them gay or into transgender people. If you think that that's how they could be created, it would be a logical thing to think that these people are trying to create more gay people, homosexual, lesbians, and transgenders, etc. And so, I think the fundamental misunderstanding of how gay people and transgender are created is the problem here, right? Because they are born that way. Are they affected by their surroundings, their environment? Absolutely. Does their environment and surroundings perpetuate an ability for a child to grow up into the person they truly feel like they are? Because I can tell you, John Pitt Fido has been able to grow up into the person he wants to be. He lets his freak flag fly all the time on Facebook. His hair, he's got some crazy videos with him doing, saying funny stuff to the camera. He's even got several pictures of himself on Facebook where he's wearing like a half shirt showing off his belly, and he's talking about how juicy he is. And I got to tell you, it looks pretty gay. And he posted it a year ago, and he's posting it this year. And I think it's his way of celebrating the Pride Month, which is great. I think that's fantastic. But if he thinks his daughter or any kid is simply going to turn transgender because they saw a T-shirt in Target, or they heard someone tell a story, or someone is coming for his children, then he's mistaken. And he might be feeling a little bit like he needs to be more protective of that than he really needs to be. And I have to wonder what would happen if his daughter indeed does let him know, maybe, if she's comfortable, that maybe she's gay. Maybe she feels like a boy. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. Will he be loving and supportive of that? Will he be mad at Target for making his daughter transgender? I don't know. I just have to wonder that. And Anyway, that's I just wanted to talk about that because I see it from him a lot on Facebook, especially in these last few weeks, probably because of Pride Month. And I am going to tag him in this, so I hope he listens. I hope he hears my thoughts on it, because I really do believe that what he's trying to say is his way of saying we need to protect our children and love them, and I have no problem with that as a concept. I just think he's mistaken about this issue. And what I'm not saying is that I think kids should be allowed to. I'm not even really commenting on should kids become transgender as a kid or not. I think that is completely up to the parents and the children to figure that out for themselves. And each family is different. I think in general, I would recommend, being a loving, accepting parent, no matter what your child turns out to be. And you can't go wrong doing that. All right, that's it. 3 Things with JR. Just about over and out. Just a reminder, Wayne on Main, ToBe Fare. We're going to rock from 6 to 8 p.m. On Wednesday, July 26th. We will be at the Clock Tower in Stanton in August. So very excited about that. More info on that one to be found on ToBeFare.com, ToBeFare.com. If you have questions for me, stuff you'd like me to talk about on this show, if you take issue with anything I've said, if you want me to shut up about the theater, I get that. Tell me that. Send me an email at 3thingswithjr@gmail.com. Send me a thing on Facebook. I'll be posting about this with a bunch of pictures and links and stuff in the show notes for this episode. So go check all of that stuff out. And thank you so much for listening. Let's go. Let's start spreading the news, everybody. Because I don't know what I'm trying to work in New York lyrics into the end of this show, and it's just not working. So I'm just going to go with our theme song and be done with it. See you next week with Small Things Considered.
Take the first step, it's not